Hopefully you like biscuits because Florida State's bringing back its biggest biscuit. And Marqueston Douglas returning to Florida State. He spent his last season with former FSU offensive coordinator Kenny Dillingham, now finding some success there at Arizona State. Coach Dillingham heading into the college football playoff and the first 12-team format. And with this and during this, Marqueston Douglas in contact with Florida State and ends up actually coming back to the Seminoles to join Florida State's tight end room, which there is a lot to like from after what we saw in that 2024 season. There wasn't a lot to like from it, Austin, but there were a few players that we talked about heavily, and they were in that tight end room. And sure enough, a reunion is to be had in Tallahassee with Biscuit and the Florida State Seminoles.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I think a lot of us were upset when he entered the transfer portal and went to Arizona State, but we got it on all fronts. We didn't know what his playing time was going to look like. Turned out the grass wasn't much greener for him. He only played about 200 snaps at Arizona State and had a total of 1 catch for 3 yards with the Sun Devils. But he was solid in his 3 years at Florida State. 25 catches, 326 yards, 4 touchdowns. In more of a backup role, playing behind guys like Jaheim Bell and Cam McDonald and some of these other guys. But I think this is a good addition. Florida State's blocking wasn't great anywhere, but especially with the tight ends when they put in the freshman of Amari Williams and Landon Thomas, you love what they bring as pass catchers, but they weren't great with blocking. Marqueston Douglas can do that and do that in spades. And I think this is, even if they move Amari Williams to defensive end full time next season, like Mike Norvell has talked about, I think Marqueston and Landon Thomas is a good 1-2 tight end combo.
Yeah, Florida State needs a blocker that's in the tight end room, and Florida State losing some guys into the transfer portal as well that, would usually take on those roles. But bringing in Marqueston, obviously just natural fit back into the locker room, and it was a fan favorite too, just because out of nowhere you'd see big boy catching the ball going down the field, but Marqueston Douglas, and
there's always a tight end screen too. They would do the little pop screens, and he would just rumble and tumble for 15 yards every time.
Yeah, man, like it was just awesome to watch, and just a big dude who lost a lot of size too, put a lot of work in with Coach Storms to lose some weight and become more of a versatile tight end instead of just being that pure just blocker. And he became, I don't know how much the defensive coordinators were preparing for him, probably not much, but that's where he became an advantage for Florida State in that offense. And they were able to do some plays with him. And he actually scored, like you said, 4 touchdowns for Florida State in that unit. But there is a lot to like about his addition here. You need a blocking tight end more than anything, and he sure is that. He's practically almost, previously when he first arrived at FSU, almost like the size of an offensive tackle, but he still is with that size and strength that he brings to the table. And he can be a pass catcher for you too that's reliable. And we'll see what they end up doing though with Amari Williams. I personally think I like him at the tight end position with his hands. He said, Amari Williams did say in an interview during the season, he says, I feel like I could be like the next Travis Hunter. I can play offense and I can play defense. So we'll see what Mike ends up allowing him to do this spring and fall camp. But he adds to a room where you see some young talent, and you want to bring an attack there at the tight end room. And both attack means passing, yes, but also too, with how Gus Malzahn likes to run this offense, VZ, it's going to be a key component of having a good blocking tight end with it.
Yeah, he lost a little bit of weight, but I don't want to give him too much credit. He's listed on Arizona State's roster at 6'5", 275 pounds. At that point, you're just a 6th offensive lineman when you're that big.
He's a big boy.
He is
the reason why his name down there is nicknamed Biscuit.
But it is good to have him back, especially because a few guys have transferred out of this room over the past few days. Jackson West is gone, Brian Courtney's gone, and now you bring in a guy that is already familiar with at least Mike Norvell and Tallahassee and knows what it means to put on a garden and gold jersey. And I think that is somewhat important at the end of the day. And again, you have 3 tight ends you feel pretty good about. Not a lot of teams can say that.
Yeah, favorite in the locker room too, and I think that's always been an emphasis for Mike Norvell, is having a good locker room. And it felt like things kind of went off the rails, as it probably should and would have anyways when you go 2-10. But bringing a guy like this back, and I think is big for the Florida State Seminoles and what they do offensively under Gus Malzahn and getting down the field. But if you enjoy the video, hit the like button down below. Subscribe if you're excited to see Mr. Biscuit Man coming back to Florida State. And appreciate you for watching this video.